Hey, everybody. My guest today is JELANI REMY. JELANI, who I'm so thrilled to have on the podcast today, is starring on Broadway in a show called Back to the Future. You may have heard of it. Some of his other Broadway credits include Ain't Too Proud and The Lion King. JELANI is a Paper Mill Playhouse rising star and Chita Rivera Award recipient. He's also a BCEFA NextGen advocate. I could spend most of this time reading credits, but let's just get into our
Yeah.
conversation. Hello, Jelani.
Hi. It is good to see you. It's good
Oh
to
my
be
God.
here.
So good to see you. Jelani was telling me before we started that he is in rehearsal for a presentation of a vampire musical. And we need more of those. I feel strongly.
I listen, it is something you can really sink your teeth into, if I may be so bold to say. It's called
What?
Yeah, that's right. It's called Blood Love, and it's a vampire pop musical, and it's here in New York City, January 15th at Joe's Pub at 5:30 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. So come and see us if you can. If not, look out for Blood Love on your social media platforms. And I'm excited to keep doing new things. I'm grateful to be in Back to the Future. It is a wonder of a show, and I'm sure we'll get into that more. But as artists, we also want to expand and try new things and be part of the scene and expand our horizons. So this is just another feather in the fang. A feather in the fang? Sure.
A feather and a fang in your
Yeah,
vampire
yeah.
cap. What is so amazing for people who either got to see it in London or in New York, or I'm sure it will
Mm.
tour, or watching it on YouTube. uh Back to the Future is such an incredible high energy show, and you guys are working from the minute that show begins until it stops, like, intensely. So the idea that you did that show twice yesterday and then are here today, it's just incredible how much energy you're putting out right now.
Al, thank you so much. You use the word we're working, but we get to play, and especially in a show like Back to the Future that is such a strong foundation. And what they did with this musical was we got to play. We get to bring it to life with like Broadway, and it is just a joy to do from start to finish. And even more so to see the people enjoying it and to hear the people laughing and engaging and singing the songs with us. It's really awesome. There are people that have been to this show now over 20 something times, and we recognize them because they sit in the same seats or we see them at the stage door. And it's just goes to show that we are putting out something joyful into the world that people connect with and want more of, and they want it again and again and again and again. So I think we're doing it right.
It is so incredible to think about now how many generations have found either the film or the musical. How many people will grow up only having seen the musical, not even knowing that it was a
Isn't
movie?
that
Like, it's so
isn't that
crazy in that
something?
way.
Isn't
Yeah.
that something? Absolutely. And to see like a father and son in both a Marty McFly puffer vest, one in a teeny tiny size and one in an adult size, and they're sharing this experience together. It's so heartwarming, and it's connecting.
So this must be a new kind of stage door experience, because even though you have been in two really iconic Broadway musicals, The Lion King and Ain't Too Proud, I don't know, did people come in costumes? Like, were little kids in Simba costumes at the stage
You
door?
I will say I've had some little kids dressed up as Simba that I'd have to hold up like it was a circle of life. I did have that, but nothing, nothing like this. These movie lovers of Back to the Future, the fans are just so tremendous and so gung ho and so excited about this craft and this art and seeing it on the Broadway stage. It's like it's really something that I've never witnessed before, and it's
Wow.
really cool.
By the way, listeners, if you hear ambient sound, that is because Jelani is in a rehearsal studio right now, and the voices you hear may be some of your favorite Broadway stars who happen to also be in the hallway today working
Yeah,
on something.
I can tell you, yeah, you hear ambiance noise because there's Constantine Maroulis here from American Idol. There's Courtney Reed from Moulin Rouge here. The walls are bountiful here at the studio. So yeah,
That
but I
is
want to
so.
carve out time to talk to all of you.
Well, we're excited. I just got to sing with Jelani Remy in an improvisational number that we've been working on. I want to go back a little bit because Back to the Future is right now, but there's so much that happened before, and I just want to start with. I read somewhere, tell me if this is like apocryphal or true, but that the
Mm.
Lion King cassette was the first thing you sort of bought with your own money to listen to. Is that a true thing? Is that a true little known fact?
It's a true little known fact. The Lion King was the first cassette tape I bought with my birthday money, and I wore that tape out. Do you understand me? I would go through the tape as one character throughout the entire journey, then rewind it and go back and be Zazu for another journey, and go back and be Mufasa, go back and be a hyena. I wore that tape out. Do you hear me? I wore it out, and cut two. It was kind of amazing because it then, sort of shaped my future.
So can we talk about that? I mean, just the
Yeah,
idea, the Lion King, Julie Taymor was on the podcast. I've had so many people, Stanley
she
Wayne
was.
Mathis, yes,
Wow.
who are part of the
Mufasa.
origin
Yeah,
story of
yeah,
this show.
yes.
I believe that, you can tell your own story, but I would love to sort of hear how you went from like national tour of High School Musical to Simba on Broadway in The Lion King. So
Yeah,
can you share
well,
your journey with us as a musical theater star, start to finish?
well, start to finish, I was in college and I loved theater, and I was freelancing with an agency that sent me to an audition for Hairspray. And that was my first professional audition, was for Hairspray. And I made it to the end, and I didn't get it. But they wanted to see me for another project. And I was, of course, beaten up because nobody wants to hear no. But that was my first introduction as to no doesn't mean no, it means not right now. Because they wanted to see me for this new project of High School Musical. And I had a background in cheerleading and sports. And I worked out because I had my audition for that, and ended up booking the national tour of High School Musical, and did that for 19 months, which was awesome. And I got to see what it's like to put up a big show, and to tour around with the show, and to tour around with different people, and really see what putting up, theater life is. And then I did High School Musical 2 after that, which is the sequel to that. And it was the craze was sort of dying after that of High School Musical. So we did it, but it didn't get picked up to go on tour. But a casting agent from Disney was like, I think you'd be great in a Lion King. And she scheduled an appointment for me the day after I got home. And it just so happened I knew, I was off book from my tapes. And so I knew the show pretty well. On top of that, I did some training at the Paper Mill Playhouse where I had to sing Endless Night. So I knew all the material. And they had me go see the show after my audition, and then called me back, and then called me back, and then called me back. And then I found out, you guessed it, I was going to Las Vegas to play the back legs of the rhinoceros. And
Yes.
yeah, yeah. I was the rhino's butt for a little while in the show. And then I was a swing and an understudy for Simba. And it was when I got thrown on as an understudy that I was like, whoa, this is what I want to do. This is that same calling that I felt when I, did my first musical. I knew I wanted to get good at it and make it my own. And I had a beautiful blueprint with the Simba before me, Clifton Oliver, who sort of was this gift to me that I got to study and learn from. And then I got full-time Simba in Las Vegas. And then they moved me to the national tour. And then they moved me to Broadway. So it was a long time coming. And it was a wonderful way to pay my dues and to be there and to really understand it. And it took me to Broadway. And then after that, I sort of left the jungle and stepped into a new show called Smokey Joe's Cafe, which is one of my favorite shows, also in high school. And it was the first time stepping out of the jungle and into the role of Jelani, because we played ourselves. So it's kind of weird to walk like a human after walking like a cat for 18 years. I had to like stop clawing and stop doing all that stuff and just learn to be a human again, which is kind of cool. And the show crafted it as into our strengths. So it wasn't the same recipe as Smokey Joe's. They had a new formula, so that was really cool. After that, I stepped into the show called the AppleBoys, which will be coming back soon, which was a barbershop quartet musical. So I learned singing with other people and blending, which I think helped me get my next gig, Ain't Too Proud, where I was standby for 4 of the 5 temps. And then a situation happened with Jeremy Pope, who originated Eddie Kendricks, and I ended up getting an offer to replace him. So I sort of ran with that, and we got to do that show. And then the world stopped. And then we all had to sort of go back home and reconfigure everything and reconfigure our purpose and sing online for the clap emoji. And sort of make things work. And I resorted to teaching to sort of find my happiness again and to find my purpose. And I did that, and then got to have wonderful time with family and reconnect, and do some outdoor theater with students, and reignite the flame just in time to bring back Ain't Too Proud, which we did. and unfortunately it closed. And then I went on to do some great things. I did Goodspeed Cabaret. I got to play the MC in Cabaret at the Goodspeed Opera House where Annie was created, casual. And then I went back into The Lion King after that. Did you know that? I went back to The Lion King to play Simba for a few weeks. And then they were like, hey, we need a Simba in Abu Dhabi. Can you go out there with Julie? So I got to then go to Abu Dhabi to play Simba for 2 weeks, which was amazing. And then I started my journey of Back to the Future.
Okay.
I know it's a lot of information. A
Okay,
lot of information. I know. I
no, it's
know.
incredible. And I really appreciate that because you just took us on a journey. You know, we are only sort of moments out of the kind of lockdown version of the pandemic. And
Mm-hmm.
you're talking about it again as sort of like the reset that happened, like the beauty of I got to be with my family, but also the time that we could spend trying to figure out how to be creative at home,
Mm-hmm.
then the idea of like outdoor spaces becoming ways in which we could commune and perform for each other, the clap
Mm-hmm.
emoji, like all that stuff. It sort of is like it feels so far away, but it was yesterday,
It was
really.
yesterday. It
and
was yesterday. It
and so
truly
to
was yesterday.
like the to think about when you talked about the stage door earlier, like it wasn't that long ago where we literally did not know would there be a stage door again, like what would happen to theater. And just thinking of early days of theater coming back, and then to go see you and your beautiful cast in Back to the Future, not just with like people, but like I think the line to get into your show, and I'm someone who kind of comes closer to curtain. I know that I don't have to get to be an audience member. I don't have to get there at 7:30 for an 8 o'clock show. But at like 7:50, the lines around like Olive, like the line to your show
Mm-hmm.
is
Around the block.
miles and miles long.
Around the block.
People are going insane. And so, wow, like just thank you for reminding me of like the pause that we took and what it took to get back here. It's
Yeah.
kind of an extraordinary thing. I also think like, was there any part of you that was like, I don't want to be the back legs of a rhino? Or did
No.
you right away were
No.
like, I'm fine with it? Let
Are
me
you
hear
kidding me?
about that.
I
No,
was
I
just
want to
happy to
know.
be there. I was happy to be there, and especially with a show like that, there is no like the ensemble is the heartbeat behind a show like The Lion King. You know what I mean? And to see what everybody does and their specialties,
Yes.
it was just it's a team. It was so thrilling to be part of that. Are you kidding me? I was the proudest back legs you ever did see. It was so awesome. Because we got to bring the rhino to life, and then to see what it did to the audience when they got to see, the procession and all that. No, I loved it. I loved it. I loved
Well,
it.
thank
And
God,
even
because
more,
look
I
what
love
happened.
exactly. I love being a swing too, because that's like the ultimate chameleon. I learned what 8 different men in the show did and got to jump in at any given time. So it was really cool to sort of have that skill and know how to do the onstage and offstage traffic as well.
How does your brain hold all of that? I mean, I almost sound like my grandma. Like, how do you learn all those lines? But
Listen,
literally, like,
this is the
are you good
iCloud
at
before
math?
the iCloud. No, this is the iCloud before the iCloud.
That's how you're the
I
original
just
iCloud.
really enjoy it. I just really enjoy it, and I love also seeing what other people do, and it just sticks with me. I do that all the even now in Back to the Future. I'm seeing everything that goes on around me. I take it all in. That's part of the. I think that's what makes you a great performer is being aware and knowing how and knowing what goes where, because anything can and will happen, and you have to sort of bounce off of it and be present.
So, how do you take care of your body? Because when I think about from the back legs of the rhino to Simba to the really like, there's so much movement going on in the show you're doing now.
Yeah.
What are your like routines for keeping yourself healthy?
Sure. Things happen. You have to just listen to your body as best as you can and be kind to it. Um, a passion I have now is swimming. Swimming has really like opened up my breath support and like just like my focus because I'm just going back and forth in different. I'm not the best swimmer. I'm not trying to be on the U.S. Olympic team, but for that 30 minutes I'm doing it, it's been so peaceful. I have a wonderful uh lineup of trainers. They have me doing kettlebell stuff or a lot of stretching and yoga, and I sort of pull from what I need to do to warm up my body, to warm up my voice. Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about the audition process for Back to the Future?
Yeah, I was so scared to do it because it is Back to the Future. I sort of kept putting it off and like just sort of scared because it's like, wow, this is a big deal. This is going to be a big show. Like, I don't know. But then I just kept practicing that song I sing, you got to start somewhere. And it's like, well, if I can't sing this if I don't believe it. So get your booty in there and get in. And when I walked into the room, so scared because and as an auditioner, you have just maybe 3 minutes to give your best self to these people for an opportunity of a lifetime. And I walk into the room, and there is my producers of Smokey Joe's Cafe sitting there with smiles on their faces. There is Chris Bailey, the choreographer who I just did a gig with for this Hermes musical that he choreographed that we had a great time. There's John Rando, who's one of the kindest individuals on this earth. There is Bob Gale, the legend, with this big smile on his face. And there's a music team that I knew Ted Arthur because I'd seen him around, and all these people that I knew, all in the same room for the same project. It just took a pressure off of me, and I was like, oh, okay, I could just be myself. And now those are the best auditions when you can just be yourself, and the pressure's off. And I saw my friend Beth Crandall also. Like I just saw these familiar faces that were like rooting for me, and so it just felt right, and it felt supported, it felt great, and I was happy to do it, and got called back to dance, and it all just worked out.
So where were you when you found out that you booked the job?
Oh, get this, I was at my high school where I started doing theater, helping them with their musical. When I got a call from my agent, I was with my teacher Jennifer Jessen, and I got to tell her that I get to originate a role on Broadway.
Wow.
Ah,
Wow. And then, there was so much press about original cast members of the film, Michael J. Fox and Christopher
yeah,
Lloyd, and
yes.
they all were coming. It was sort of an unprecedented thing. It wasn't opening night. It was like this
It
special
was a gala
uh,
opening. Yeah, it was a gala opening that we were raising money for the Michael J. Fox Foundation, which was incredible. And I came out of the theater. I came down the stairs of the Winter Garden, and I see these two gentlemen, Harry Waters Jr. Yes, that's right. I see Harry Waters. I see both the characters that I play. They're both standing down there,
Jelani is talking
looking
about
at
the
me.
original actors from this
Yes,
film. It's Donald
yeah, Donald
for
Full and
Love
Harry Waters
and Harry
Jr.
Waters Jr.
And they
Wow.
are down there saying, "You are us." They say, "You're us. You're good. You're us." And they give me the biggest hug. They give me a wonderful gift, and we just hug each other, and just look at each other, and it is just like a surreal moment that I will never. I get it. I honestly get taken back every time I think about it. Like coming down those steps, I lost my breath, because like, what, what? It
Well,
was
the
a big
legacy
deal.
of that and the passing of the torch and their
Yeah,
generosity and you're receiving that
it was incredible.
and them greeting you with like so much dignity and love. Like what
Yeah,
an
yeah.
incredible. Also, in the show, so Jelani plays two roles. He plays Goldie Wilson and Marvin Berry. If you know the movie, and there's a mayor and then you're
Mm-hmm.
performing I guess they just decided to have one actor play both of these parts. And you are one of those actors in a show that get to bring the house down every night with this song. Now that you know that you sort of have what we call on Broadway, like the 11 o'clock number, which just means the audience rises to its feet because they are seeing something so amazing. Even though the show isn't over yet, they have to get up because it's so infectious and exciting. And the talent coming at them is so overwhelming that they have to stand up. That's what an 11 o'clock number is. And that is you in this show. And I want to know, A, what is it like to receive that, to be in that kind of conversation with your audience? And once that happens and you're aware, like, oh, I'm that guy in the show, is there a pressure that you feel when that number is coming up beyond the joy and excitement, like, oh no, here it comes, or not at all? What's that
Oh,
like?
I think there's a responsibility to just stay true. That's all it is I'm just doing the groundwork that the wonderful writers and the wonderful music creators have laid out for me. This song it's sort of like a build and a build and a build. It's sort of just me and George for a bit, and then it turns to me and the townspeople and my castmates for a bit. And then for me, there's a switch where I then take in the audience, and we're all on this wonderful revival journey together of hope and positivity and going forth and being fierce and ferocious. And then it's just me in the audience, because the cast leaves and it's just me in the audience, and it's just like it's more of like, you got it. And it's a wonderful responsibility. There's not a pressure, because it's just, as long as it stays truthful, that's all it is. It's just being truthful, and it's a song that I love to sing. It's a song that I love to feel, and it's definitely something that is just like, it's infectious. It's infectious how it spreads and how it was choreographed and how it was just designed. It's a privilege. It really is.
You are, I mean, you exude this on stage, and you exude this in conversation and in life. This this positivity that you bring to the work and to this conversation, like just to the world. Can you tell me a little bit? I know you have to get back to rehearsal, so we can always continue this conversation another day. We'll get to what we get
Sure.
to today, and we
Okay.
don't have to wrap it up in a bow. Um, Tell me about, like, who was in your house growing up, and where did this love come from? And
Oh,
tell me about your childhood a little bit, like in terms of finding musical theater as an outlet for one of your many talents, but like, where did the love and positivity come from?
oh, that came from my parents for sure. My parents are Caribbean. They came to New York, separately, but then found each other and then created a family. And I'm the youngest of five, which is pretty cool. I got this sort of, I like to say that they stopped after me because they finally got the mix right. Yeah, saying no, no, no. But I think a lot of my compassion maybe came from preschool. My parents missed the cutoff date for preschool, and the only class that they could put me in was a special needs class. And I was not special needs. However, I was really young, so I wouldn't know the difference. But I found myself helping a lot of the kids, or helping out in class a lot, or at least that's what they would tell me. And I think that stuck with me. That everybody comes from a different place, and love is important, and care is important, and just being good people. My parents instilled that in me, of being a good person. Always trying to do the best you can, and I think I come from a great town in New Jersey, where I came from, like near Soprano, where they filmed The Sopranos. So like everyone's kind of your mother, and everyone's kind of like, get over here. Hey, what are you doing? Come
Yes.
over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very that. I have a
It's
great
everyone's
support.
business.
It's
Everyone's
everyone's.
business is
It's
everyone's
everyone's
business. Yeah.
business, 100%. So, and then that same support when I came to Broadway is still there. So they all come to see Jelani on Broadway. So I have a wonderful support system, and then this wonderful theater community that I've gotten to do so much growth and work, and Broadway Cares, even like this is a wonderful organization that I get to sort of have my hand in, as the next generation of young artists trying to make a difference and to help out others, by creating programming that raise funds to help Broadway Cares do the amazing work they do in our community and the country and Puerto Rico. So I found different outlets as to keep fueling myself. And you talk about the time we had to reset. A lot of the fuel for me was seeing my other artists, do wonderful things outside of our 8 show a week. Do wonderful things, if it's activism, if it's support, if it's learning something new. I'm endlessly fueled by my colleagues, and it's a really wonderful gift that we get to do as artists, as to make people feel something for that 2 hours and 45 minutes. It's somebody seeing our show for the first time, or somebody seeing our show for the last time, and it's our job to give them something to remember. So it's a wonderful gift that we get to give.
Well, before I let you go, is there a little known fact about Jelani that you can share with my listeners?
Yeah, I never made a first day of school because I'd get too excited and I'd throw up. Isn't that wild? But here's the thing: is that it was the same kids every year. Do you know what I mean? Like, I went to one school with 107 kids, and like I would get nervous every day and be like, and never made it. So,
What about, so stage fright, lack of stage fright, or
uh,
different? part of
I
your
was
brain goes
literally
into work?
different part of my brain, like Tracy Turnblad waking up at like 4 a.m., like bright eyed, and then I just get too excited. I had my clothes laid out. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that, I've had, I don't know, 450 little known facts. I think that's my
We're working on
favorite.
it.
That's my
We're working
favorite.
on it. We're
Oh
working
my
on
God. Jelani Remy, thank you
it.
so, so much for being on the podcast today and taking time off of rehearsal of your new thing. And have a great show tonight. Say hi to your wonderful cast for me.
I
And
will. Thanks for
thank you.
having me.
Thank you. Oh, my pleasure. Be well.
Bye.
Bye.